Welcome back to the Ask Golf Guru channel. Remember, this is my second channel. If you're not subscribed to this one, give it a subscribe, like the videos. If you've got any questions you want to ask me, my name's Mark Crossfield, golf professional, been on YouTube for many years and a golf coach for a lot of years. Just post in the comments. I'm answering your questions. That's what this channel is here for. Great question here from Philip. He's asking, why not start in impact position? So we're talking about address positions on this video. He's commenting and asking. So he said, why would we not start at address at impact? Thank you for the question. It's a really good question. I've got my swing catalyst on here to show you some ideas how some of us kind of do, and it's already bleeding into many golfers' ideas. So Philip's asking, why don't we start like this? Why do we start in a position and then try and move beyond it into an impact position? I mean, there's a few things. One, I do think, so for lots of people, impact, for everyone, impact's a dynamic position. So it's a moved into position, one that you can't actually really recreate because of the forces that are put on your body. You know, like when you see these pictures of pitchers in baseball, they're like throwing in their arms in a ridiculous position. They can't probably get their arm into those positions unless you pull, like there's forces on them. So you'd almost have to put bands on them to actually recreate those photos. Those photos are dynamic. So you can't start there. You can only get there when the forces are pulling on you. So there's one idea of why starting maybe at impact wouldn't help everyone, but it does help as well, which I'm going to show you in a second. Next thing is you are trying to turn that way. So by starting turned this way, some people might make it just too big a journey, possibly. So they start more in a neutral position to try and get some relationship between getting behind it to then going through it, if you like, if we think about turning this way and this way as one. But let me just capture one on Swing Cat here and I'll show you something that kind of is the answer to your question for me, and it happens, you're seeing it happening for lots more golfers. This is me hitting a 9-iron, and what I'm going to show you is how I'm using the ground to preempt movement in a almost preloaded impact position. So just loading my swing in here. I've not got my focus perfect, unfortunately, on these cameras, but there you go. Let's go into, these three lines on this graph. This is the address, so the start of the swing, top of the backswing, this is impact. Now, if we go into this part of the graph, which shows, I move it back here, you can see is me shuffling. So this is me moving pressures before I start the swing. And if we look at the top graph, this is my horizontal. So think of horizontal. So this is this way. So me moving this way on the mat before I start. And look how big, they're bigger than any of the bumps in my swing, because that is me going lead foot, trail foot, lead foot, trail foot, lead foot, trail foot, lead foot, trail foot. And even my torque values here are doing the same. So basically, I am starting the swing, I would say I'm starting about here. So at the moment, I'm 100% pressure on my lead foot. So in effect, I'm preloading impact position to then shift off that foot to start moving everything the other way. So 86 onto my right as I start moving the club back before I start trying to recenter. So just to put that into some context, I am going this way, also this way, as well as this way, so torque values out. I'm using all those values, getting them moving at the start to make sure I'm not starting from a completely static position to then try and create them. I'm dynamic from the beginning. And the more you measure people, you'll find that lots of people are more that way than they know. There are plenty of amateurs who don't. They're very static, and then you see these kind of static movements or lack of movement in swing. So trying to get people more dynamic at the start is a great way of moving strikes. So don't be afraid to have some left foot, right foot, lead foot, trail foot shuffles. Even let's pretend you're trying to increase this value, torque value. When I'm trying to move that value, I'm really going this way before I start. And when I start, I will almost be there to then pull it back. Other things you can do, the same ideas. You can start here, put it back over the ball and then into it. If you find that helps your strike, for some people that really helps get some movement going in their strike. You could be a player who does start to maybe work some bigger this way, this way, this way, this way, and this way shuffles into your swing. Try and make that movement more dynamic. Think about it, it's so much like a goalkeeper, those kind of ideas. They're not just going to stand still, they are really getting ready to save that penalty, those kind of ideas. So getting dynamic in that pre-movement can be really valuable for lots of golfers. So why people don't start in the impact position, well, I think that's a little extreme, but also maybe lots of us are more than we realise, and maybe more of us should. Something I've really moved into my swing has totally changed the speed and in turn strike of my shots as a whole. Great question. Kind of hope that answers a little bit. Certainly delves into the pre-hitting of a golf ball, doesn't it? It's interesting.